Well, it has been a closely fought battle between the two campaigns out on the streets of Scotland, but how's the contest going online? We can talk to Anne-Marie Tomczak here from BBC Trending to find out. What are the indications online, Anne-Marie?
Well, it's a really tightly fought battle online as well as on the ground. It's very difficult to say who's winning definitively, but there is some analysis that has been carried out over the past year looking at the official campaigns, both for Yes Scotland and Better Together UK. It looked at the Facebook and Twitter pages for each of those campaigns. And the analysis, the latest data shows that Yes have maintained a bigger presence overall online. They've got more followers, more likes, they've generated more engagement, which doesn't surprise me at all because I've been monitoring this really closely over the past few months, and Yes has been the louder voice on social media, at least in the official way, and they have a huge grassroots movement as well, a lot of unofficial campaigners, a lot of people taking to Twitter to have very robust discussions online. Facebook interestingly issued data yesterday as well, which looked at a period of 5 weeks, and they said there were 10 million Facebook interactions about the Scottish referendum over that period of 5 weeks. But I think it's important to take this kind of data with a pinch of salt because Facebook was looking at a number of phrases which are either considered yes or no and how many times they'd been liked and shared. So it doesn't really tell you how people feel. It's just looking at the volume rather than the sentiment. We still don't really know what people really think.
No. What about the way the campaigns are each making use of social media? Are they doing it differently or the same?
They are doing it quite differently. There's quite a different style. I think in the same way that there's a different style between Alex Salmond and Alistair Darling, there's a different style being represented on their social platforms as well. And if you take a platform like YouTube, for example, even just taking a glance at Yes Scotland's YouTube page, you can see it here now on the screen, you can see there are a lot of animations, cartoons, video which have text, and you can see that this shows a really deep understanding of the platform because they're creating content which is tailored towards a digital audience. It's basically someone who's on their smartphone, on the tablet, on the move, watching the video on YouTube. Whereas Better Together are using it a little bit differently. If you look at the thumbnails and the screen grabs on theirs, it's more interview clips, academics and professors and intellectuals talking about the various issues at stake. But they have had some big successes online. Their biggest viral video was one which was called The Woman Who Made Up Her Mind, and it's been watched over nearly 500,000 times, but it produced a number of spin-offs, spoofs. This woman here in the red blouse has become what we call in BBC Trending an internet meme, because she talks to the camera all about, you know, oh, the quiet time of the day and nice to sit down and have a good time to think. And she talks about why she's a no voter. But a lot of people found it very patronising online. So there were a lot of very funny videos coming from the Yes camp with men in beards wearing red blouses sitting in their kitchens talking with their cup of tea, and lots of other Yes supporting women sitting down in their kitchen at the end of the day with their cup of tea explaining why they were Yes voters. So, you know, a lot of fun online, and that's the one thing I've noticed. When you look over even the past 6 months, the most shared and the most retweeted tweets, videos, images have always been humorous ones, whether they're from the politicians themselves or from private individuals. So I think that's quite interesting. That really stands out. Social media is also a really interesting aspect of how people take part in voting in a referendum like this. And Facebook is doing a number of interesting things. In the European elections, they had this voter button where people could push a notification on their mobile phone to show that they had voted, and they're doing something similar for the Scottish referendum. They issued a guide to people about the referendum on how to register to vote, a guide on the yes and the no camps, and when people go onto their mobile phones on Facebook tomorrow and they'll see this I'm a voter button, and they can show that they have voted, so it'll remind their friends to do the same as well. And there's also a Scottish social network too, Kilter. Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't.
I must admit now, I hadn't heard of it either, and I use social media every day. But this is a Scottish network which is designed specifically for everyone with a Scottish connection. Anyone can log on, you don't have to be from Scotland, but it's for those who are particularly interested in what's going on in Scotland, and there's a section dedicated just to the referendum. Here you can see that they're doing an online poll at the moment. They're asking people the exact same question that they're going to be asked on the ballot papers. Should Scotland be an independent country? And I went in just before we went on air, I registered and I had my vote, even though technically speaking I'm not going to have a vote on the day itself. But it's interesting that social media is giving people an opportunity to play some role and have a part in the conversation, and just to find out like what people think.
Anne-Marie, thank you very much. Well, it's certainly got people engaged. 97% of the eligible voters have registered to have their say tomorrow. So less than 24 hours to go now until that vote gets underway.